Introducing today's video, Why Henry Ford Almost Destroyed His Own Empire, a documentary series from the stables of WealthLore. Imagine building one of the most successful companies in history, only to become the biggest threat to its survival. That sounds impossible. After all, founders are supposed to protect their companies, not endanger them. But history tells a different story. Sometimes, the very qualities that create an empire become the same qualities that nearly destroy it. Few stories prove that better than Henry Ford. He revolutionized transportation, changed manufacturing forever, made automobiles affordable for ordinary families, and built one of the most valuable companies on Earth. Yet, at the height of his success, Henry Ford made a series of decisions so stubborn, so costly, and so disconnected from a changing market that they nearly cost him everything. This is the story of how one of history's greatest innovators almost became the architect of his own downfall. To understand how it happened, we have to return to the beginning. At the start of the 20th century, automobiles were considered luxury machines. Only the wealthy could afford them. Cars were expensive to build, complicated to repair, and far beyond the reach of the average worker. Henry Ford saw the world differently. He didn't want to build the best car for the richest people. He wanted to build a reliable car for everyone. That vision became the Model T. Introduced in 1908, the Model T wasn't the first automobile. It wasn't even the fastest. But it was exactly what ordinary Americans needed. It was durable, simple, easy to repair, and most importantly, affordable. Demand exploded. But Ford faced a problem. Even with thousands of customers waiting, production couldn't keep up. So he reinvented manufacturing itself. Instead of skilled workers building an entire car from start to finish, Ford introduced the moving assembly line. Each worker repeated one specific task while the vehicle moved continuously through the factory. The result was astonishing. Production times collapsed. Costs fell dramatically. Output soared. Factories around the world would eventually copy the system. It became one of the most influential industrial innovations in history. As production increased, Ford did something almost unthinkable. In 1914, he doubled workers' wages to $5 a day. Many business leaders thought he had lost his mind. But Ford believed well-paid workers would stay longer, work harder, and even become customers themselves. He was right. Employee turnover dropped, productivity increased, and thousands of workers could finally afford the very cars they were building. Ford wasn't just selling automobiles. He was helping create the modern middle class. By the early 1920s, the company dominated the automobile industry. At one point, more than half the cars on American roads were Model Ts. Henry Ford appeared unstoppable. But success can create a dangerous illusion. When everything works, it's easy to believe it will always work. That illusion became Ford's greatest weakness. While competitors studied changing consumer tastes, Henry Ford believed customers should continue buying exactly what had already made him successful. He famously joked that customers could have the Model T in any color they wanted, as long as it's black. The statement reflected more than humor. It revealed his philosophy. Standardization above all else. Black paint dried faster. Faster drying meant faster production. Faster production meant lower costs. Lower costs meant cheaper cars. On paper, the logic was brilliant. But customers were changing. They no longer wanted only affordable transportation. They wanted comfort, style, choice, modern features. Competitors noticed, especially Alfred P. Sloan at General Motors. Sloan understood something Ford refused to accept. People don't buy only with logic. They buy with emotion. General Motors introduced different brands for different incomes, different colors, different styles, annual model updates. Customers suddenly had options. Buying a car became a personal decision instead of a purely practical one. Ford dismissed the trend. He believed changing the Model T was unnecessary. Why improve perfection? For years, he refused to listen to executives, engineers, and even members of his own family who warned that the market was evolving. The numbers slowly began telling a painful story. Ford's market share declined. General Motors gained momentum. Customers who once waited eagerly for a Model T started walking into GM dealerships instead. Still, Henry Ford refused to change. Inside the company, frustration grew. Executives feared speaking honestly. Many knew what needed to happen. But challenging Henry Ford often meant risking your career. The company that had once thrived on innovation was becoming trapped by one man's unwillingness to adapt. Ironically, the world's greatest innovator had become resistant to innovation. By the mid-1920s, reality became impossible to ignore. Sales were falling rapidly. Factories slowed. Dealers struggled. The Model T, once the symbol of modern transportation, suddenly looked outdated. Ford finally faced the decision he had avoided for years. Continue defending the past, or rebuild the future. The answer came at an enormous cost. In 1927, Ford made one of the boldest business decisions in history. He completely stopped production of the Model T. Factories across the country shut down. Thousands of workers paused production. Assembly lines fell silent. For months, the company produced almost nothing while preparing its replacement. It was an extraordinary gamble. If the next vehicle failed, Ford Motor Company might never recover. Finally, after months of anticipation, the new Model A arrived. It featured improved styling, more colors, better engineering, greater comfort. Customers responded immediately. Demand surged. Ford had successfully returned to the market. But the victory came with an uncomfortable truth. The crisis had been entirely avoidable. Had Henry Ford listened earlier, the company might never have surrendered so much ground to General Motors. The lesson reaches far beyond automobiles. Founders often fall in love with the product that made them successful. Customers, however, fall in love with solutions. When the world changes, yesterday's perfect solution may no longer solve tomorrow's problems. Henry Ford struggled to separate his personal identity from the Model T. To him, criticism of the car felt like criticism of himself. That emotional attachment clouded objective judgment. Many entrepreneurs face the same challenge. The product becomes part of their identity. Changing it feels like admitting failure, but refusing to change can become the greater mistake. There's another lesson hidden inside Ford's story. Innovation isn't a single achievement. It's a continuous process. The assembly line transformed manufacturing. Higher wages transformed industrial labor. Mass production transformed transportation. Yet those incredible achievements didn't guarantee future success. Every generation of business faces a new challenge. Yesterday's innovation eventually becomes today's standard, and today's standard eventually becomes tomorrow's limitation. Companies that survive understand this cycle. They disrupt themselves before competitors do it for them. Ford nearly learned that lesson too late. History often remembers Henry Ford as the genius who put the world on wheels, and rightly so. His contributions changed modern society forever. But his greatest business lesson didn't come from his greatest success. It came from his greatest mistake. Because leadership isn't simply having the courage to build something extraordinary. It's having the humility to admit when that extraordinary thing must evolve. Even the greatest founder can become an obstacle if pride replaces curiosity. Even the most successful company can begin declining if yesterday's victories become today's excuses. Fortunately for Ford Motor Company, adaptation eventually won. The Model A restored confidence. The business survived. Future generations of leaders continued building on the company's legacy, introducing new technologies, safer vehicles, global manufacturing, and innovations Henry Ford himself could never have imagined. Today, Ford remains one of the world's most recognized automobile manufacturers. Not because it never made mistakes, but because it eventually learned to adapt. That may be the greatest irony of Henry Ford's life. The man who taught the world how to revolutionize industry nearly failed because he stopped believing revolution was still necessary. His story reminds us that success is never permanent. Markets change, customers evolve, technology advances, and no company, not even the one that changed the world, can afford to stand still. Perhaps that's the real reason Henry Ford almost destroyed his own empire. It wasn't because he lacked intelligence. It wasn't because he lacked vision. It was because, after changing the world once, he believed the world would stop changing for him. History proved otherwise, and for every entrepreneur, investor, and business leader today, that lesson may be worth far more than any automobile ever built. Because the greatest threat to your success is rarely your competition. Sometimes, it's your unwillingness to let go of yesterday's success long enough to build tomorrow's.